Now, generally we get used to the words like industrialization. Whenever we talk about the word industrialization, we generally associate industrialization word with the factorization. Whenever we talk about the industrial workers, we get the word like factory workers. Whenever we talk about the period of industrialization, we think or we are discussing about the concept of establishment of factories. But actually, many of the historians have expressed a view that factories were there far earlier, before the industrialization happened, which means like before the industrialization progress or the so-called modern period have started, before also we had the proto-industrial period, that is called proto-industrialization. Proto-industrial period, which means before to the industries we had the proto-industrialization, the period when the industrialization was not in full progress. Also we had many number of industries known as proto-industrial period. But do they exist in the same parameters and in the same system of management as it is in existence in today, either in the industries or in the factories? No, it was in a different style. How did the earlier factories, or how was the system developed, and what are the reasons for not developing in the cities and developing in the towns? That is, we have in the cities powerful trade guilds, trade unions. These unions are given special powers by the rulers to have monopoly over the particular business what they do. For example, if you talk about the cloth businessmen people, cloth business merchants do not have much scope and rights to do any business in the city, because the entire authority of monopoly is being given on the workers and on the union by the ruler to a particular group of people. So these people need to find out some other alternative to do their work done. So these people used to move to the nearby towns where there are no trade guilds, where there are no trade unions, and there is no concept of powerful issues getting involved in this work. So when merchant wants some employees, he would like to search them in the nearby towns of the city where he lives. So this made the merchants to find their ways to the towns. And let us look at the situations at the towns or at the villages. When we talk about the situations at the towns and nearby the villages, where the cultivation day by day is coming down, the poor peasants need to work like gathering of the firewood, berries, gathering of the berries, vegetables, and also hay. Like that, the original capability of the cultivation has come down because of the lack of wealth with the peasants, and also the unfavorable conditions like the lack of the rains in the proper time also made the cultivation to become a mere disaster or a failure. And also the tiny plots which are owned by the peasants cannot be cultivating so much what the family needs for them to run their entire business or the family incomes. So all these reasons made the people, those who are living in the towns and in the nearby villages, to search for a new alternatives or jobs. So when the situations were worse this side, and when the merchants need some people to work for them at very less cost and also far away from the city, so the need of the merchant, the necessity of the peasants made them to come together. So the merchants used to come to the nearby towns, identify the people, and allot works for them by dividing the entire work into different categories. So once the entire work is divided by the merchant who does business with the cloth is called merchant clothier. The merchant clothier gives the entire resources for them, like wool to the wool stapler. He collects the wool from the wool stapler, then he sends it to the spinner. The spinner will spin it, then afterwards it is sent to the weaver. After from weaver it is sent to the fuller, who settles everything and makes it very clear, and then for coloring finally to the dyer. So all these stages every merchant clothier used to have 50 to 100 workers working under him and different categories, and then finally gets the work done. And after the work is done by the workers at different places of the towns, then finally it was taken to London for doing the final packing and then exported to the other countries. This London is also known as finishing station, from where the product goes out of the nation. So before this entire process happened also, before we have the factories, before we have the industries, we have the merchant system, the putting out system, the system which helps the people to come together and do work. And if you look at the peasant's point of view, the peasant's perspective here, working for the merchant is that merchants need workers, merchants need people to work far away from the towns, cities especially. But the people, those who own tiny lands, they could not leave their home villages and move on to the nearby place because it may be occupied by somebody or something else may happen, and they cannot afford to lose their small tiny plot lands. But at the same time, if you work for the merchant, it would be an additional income for them, and that income would also help them to recover from the loss which was incurred for them by the unconditional rains or the natural effects. So that's how the proto-industrial period was also in existence before the actual industrialization started in Europe.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.